Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for standing by for the second quarter 2021 earnings conference call for XPeng Incorporated. At this time, all participants are in a listen-only mode. After the management's remarks, there will be a question-and-answer session. Today's conference call is being recorded. I will now turn the call over to your host, Mr. Zilling Ma, Director of Investor Relations of the company. Please go ahead, Mr. Ma.
Thank you. Hello, everyone, and welcome to XPeng's second quarter 2021 earnings conference call. Our financial and operating results were issued by newswire services earlier today and are available online. You can also view the earnings press release by visiting the IR section of our website at ir.xiaopeng.com. Participants on today's call will include our Co-founder, Chairman, and CEO, Mr. He Xiaopeng, Vice Chairman and President, Dr. Brian Gu, Vice President of Finance, Mr. Dennis Lu, Managing Director of Strategy, Mr. Charles Zhang, and myself. Management will begin with prepared remarks, and the call will conclude with a Q&A session. A webcast replay of this conference call will be available on the IR section of our website. Before we continue, please note that today's discussion will contain forward-looking statements made under safe harbor provisions of the U.S. Private Securities Litigation Reform Act of 1995. Forward-looking statements involve inherent risks and uncertainties. As such, the company's results may be materially different from views expressed today. Further information regarding these and other risks and uncertainties is included in the relevant public filings of the company as filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission. The company does not assume any obligation to update any forward-looking statements except as required under applicable law. Please also note that XPeng's earnings press release and this conference call will include a disclosure of unaudited GAAP financial measures as well as unaudited non-GAAP financial measures. XPeng's earnings press release contains a reconciliation of the unaudited non-GAAP measures to the unaudited GAAP measures. I will now turn the call over to our Co-founder, Chairman, and CEO, Mr. He Xiaopeng. Please go ahead.
大家好，感谢各位参加小鹏汽车2021年的第二季度业绩的电话会。
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining XPeng's second quarter 2021 earnings conference call.
那么在今年的第二季度，小鹏汽车的交付量再创了单季度的新高，达到了17398台，那么同比增长439%。截止到今年的6月底，小鹏汽车上半年累计交付量达到30738台，已经超过了2020年全年的交付量。 在7月份，我们再度刷新了单月的交付量记录，突破了8000辆。在手合同订单量目前也达到了历史新高。那么随着交付量的快速增长，二季度我们的盈利能力也会进一步提升，毛利率达到了11.9%。
In the second quarter of 2021, XPeng's vehicle deliveries reached 17,398, another quarterly record high, representing a 439% increase year-over-year. For the 6-month period ended June 30th, 2021, XPeng delivered 30,738 vehicles, surpassing the total number of vehicles delivered for the full year of 2020. And in July, our monthly deliveries exceeded 8,000 units, setting a new monthly record with an all-time high order backlog. With the rapid growth in deliveries, our second quarter profitability further improved, and our gross margin reached 11.9%.
我们相信交付量的快速增长来源于市场对智能电动车认可度的不断提高，以及我们在智能电动汽车产品的领头地位和快速的迭代能力。在第二季度，小鹏的 XPeng 3.0 自动驾驶软件渗透率达到了25%。 在我们截止6月底累计交付的近3.5万辆 P7 中间，已经有近8000辆配备了 XPeng 3.0。在6月份，高速 NGP 辅助，我们用户驾驶了约145万公里的高速公路里程，里程渗透率超过了60%。那么 NGP 的月均的使用率超过了65%。我们的用户对智能辅助驾驶粘性的不断提高。 这个，在我相信，随着明年初 我们推出 XPeng 3.5之后，以及更往后我们会推出下一代智能辅助驾驶的硬件和软件平台的 XPeng 4.0，我们能够更加广泛的覆盖到从端到端的驾驶场景，包括没有高精地图的使用场景。那么我们也看到用户会对智能辅助驾驶的依赖跟需求会大幅提高。在不断探索科技创新的同时，安全也是我们永远的重中之重。我们不断通过用户安全的教育、硬件的冗余、软件的迭代，提高我们用户使用我们智能辅助驾驶的安全性。例如，小鹏是中国首家要求用户通过考试后才能使用智能辅助驾驶系统的车企。小鹏也是第一家，也是首家开始使用激光雷达以增强感知系统的硬件冗余和各种异常环节感知的能力增强。我们将不断提高对各种辅助驾驶里面的特殊场景的处理能力，进一步保障用户的安全。
Our rapid delivery growth was driven by consumers' increasing demand for smart EVs and our leadership position in smart electric vehicle products and our fast product iterations. In the second quarter, the attach rate of XPilot 3.0 software reached 25%. Among the nearly 35,000 P7s that have been delivered as of the end of June 2021, close to 8,000 units were equipped with XPilot 3.0. Also, in June, our highway NGP mileage penetration rate exceeded 60%, and NGP assisted our customers in driving for around 1.45 million kilometers. The average monthly usage rate of NGP exceeded 65%. This is a clear demonstration of customers' increasing adoption and reliance on our advanced driver assistance system. With the rollout of XPilot 3.5 earlier next year, and afterwards XPilot 4.0, our future advanced driver assistance system built on our next generation hardware platform will be able to empower a broader range of end-to-end driving scenarios, including those not covered by HD maps. As a result, customers' demand and reliance on advanced driver assistance system will continue to increase. As we advance in developing cutting-edge technologies, safety will always remain our top priority. We have an unwavering commitment to enhancing driver safety education and providing hardware redundancy and software iteration to ensure our customers can safely use our advanced driver assistance system. To illustrate, XPeng is the first EV maker to implement a driver safety proficiency test for customers before they can activate our advanced driver assistance system. In addition, we are also the first in the industry, starting from our P5 model that equips LiDAR technology to be adopted in some of the configurations to increase redundancy of perception through hardware and sharpen its adaptabilities in handling corner cases to further safeguard driver safety.
我们通过产品的快速迭代，扩大当前的市场规模。我们在第二季度开始销售跟交付带磷酸铁锂版的 G3 跟 P7， 那么当前交付量已经超过过去车型交付量的 20%， 这也同时扩大了现代车型的价格区间跟目标的客户群。那么随着铁锂电芯供应规模的放大，我们非常有信心在未来会加大这个交付的比重。另外 G3 的中期改款 G3i 市场反应也明显超出了我们的初始期望。当前 G3i 的生产切换跟调试，我们预计会影响 G3 跟 G3i 最近几周的生产跟交付。我们期望在8月底开始少量交付 G3i， 并不断的在未来的1个季度加大规模。
Our strategic focus on advancing fast product iteration allows us to further expand our addressable market. In the second quarter, we began sales and deliveries of lithium iron phosphate or LFP battery-powered G3s and P7s, and their deliveries comprise more than 20% of total deliveries for each model. These new additions expand our price range and customer base. With the growing supply of LFP cells, we're confident with the increasing proportion of LFP models among our deliveries in the future. Moreover, the strong market response to our recently launched G3i, the new mid-cycle facelift version of the G3, exceeded our expectations. The production preparation and switching of G3i is expected to have impact on G3 and G3i's production and delivery for a few weeks. We plan to start deliveries at the end of August and will increase delivery scale in the next quarter.
在7月，我们公布了小鹏汽车第3款量产车型，也就是 P5 的配置跟价格区间，并正式开启了预售，市场反馈强烈。我们计划 P5 将在9月的中旬上市，并公布正式的价格，在10月份会正式对外交付。如果说在 P7 上，小鹏汽车向用户展示了首家全站自研的这一个智能辅助驾驶系统的能力和对懂中国驾驶场景的体验，那么我们相信在 P5 这款车上，我们将为我们的用户在城市场景以及不同场景间的衔接带来新的惊喜。我想这也是我们扩大在智能辅助驾驶的技术优势的开端。那么通过 P5， 我们能够把我们在行业领先的智能辅助驾驶跟智能座舱技术，在16到23万这个价格区间的广大的家用轿车市场上进一步普及，进一步加速智能化对燃油汽车跟非智能汽车的颠覆。
In July, we announced configuration details and the price range for our third production model, the P5, and its market reception has been overwhelmingly positive. We expect to officially launch the P5 and unveil its MSRP in mid-September and begin its deliveries in October. With P7, we have already demonstrated the unique driving experience brought by our full-stack in-house algorithm for advanced driver assistance system that is capable of handling complex driving scenarios in China. Now with P5, we are bringing to our users a driving experience that will enable them to utilize advanced driver assistance system in urban driving scenarios with the ability to switch between different driving scenarios smoothly. I believe this is only the start of XPeng's journey to accentuate the development of our leading advanced driver assistance technologies. Moreover, with the P5, we're able to offer our industry-leading advanced driver assistance system and smart cockpit technology to the broader family sedan market with an attractive pricing range from 160,000 to 230,000 RMB. Further accelerating the EV disruption of the traditional ICE and non-intelligent automobile market.
那么在此我也分享一下我们对于未来发展的几个判断。第一，在中国15到40万的价格区间将是最大且增长最快的电动汽车细分市场，并且在这个细分市场，智能化对传统汽车的颠覆将是最强烈跟最迅速。第二，真正的高等级智能辅助驾驶开始会对客户出行带来质的改变。第三，中国将引领全球智能电动汽车的发展，中国的智能电动汽车的车企也会迎来非常好的全球化的最佳机遇。那么因此在今年7月7号，小鹏汽车正式在香港港交所挂牌上市之后，我们融资了158亿港元，实现了美国和香港双重主要上市。我们计划进一步加大在智能技术创新、品牌和市场、服务，包括超充和销售渠道以及全球化等全方面的投入。那么小鹏汽车今天所选择的产品跟技术路线，以及对组织、对全球化的投入，并不仅仅是追求我们在当前环境中的优势，而是有更长线的思考跟更广阔的布局。
Here, I would like to share some of my predictions for the future. First, in China, vehicles priced between 150,000 and 400,000 RMB will constitute the largest segment in EV market and show the fastest growth rate. Furthermore, the disruptive forces that smart EV brings to traditional mobility in this segment will also be the most vigorous and the swiftest. Second, high-level or advanced driving assistance system will trigger qualitative changes in users' mobility experience. Third, as China is poised to take the lead in the development of smart EVs around the world, China's smart EV makers will be in excellent position to expand globally. In order to be able to capitalize on such opportunities, on July the 7th, XPeng completed our dual primary IPO on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange and raised 15.8 billion Hong Kong dollars. Looking ahead, we plan to further increase investment in intelligent technology innovations, branding and marketing, service facilities across our supercharging, sales channel network, and global expansion. Our differentiated products and technological path we chose, along with investment in human capital and global expansion, not only bolster our leading position in the current landscape, but also underscore our long-term vision and strategic deployment.
在之后的数年里，我们将进一步加速我们的产品推出节奏。从2023年开始，我们计划每年至少推出2到3款全新车型，所有的新车型都将支持 XPeng 4.0 高等级的智能辅助驾驶系统。特别说明的是，我们所有的新车型都将同时支持国际市场，无论是硬件、软件和服务。我们在中国的主力价格销售区间也会从15到30万元扩大到15到40万元，使我们先进的智能电动汽车覆盖更广大的客户群。
Looking forward, in a few years' time, we will accelerate the pace of our new product development. Starting from 2023, we plan to launch at least 2 or 3 new vehicles every year, supporting XPilot 3.0 or above. We intend to make these future new models, including hardware, software, and services, simultaneously available in China and in international markets. We'll also broaden our primary price range in China from between 150,000 and 300,000 RMB to between 150,000 to 400,000 RMB, making our cutting-edge smart EVs accessible to a broader customer base.
随着更多车型研发的启动和关键技术创新的加速，我们也会不断加强我们的研发团队的建设。截止到2021年2季度末，小鹏研发团队超过3000人，较今年年初增加约50%。我们预计研发团队在今年年底将超过4500人，其中我们会较大幅度的增加面对全球化的自动驾驶的软件、硬件、数据等相关的研发人员投入。我们预计在今年年底，整个自动驾驶软硬件以及配套基础设施团队的总人员数量会超过1500人。
As we accelerate our efforts in technology innovations and product design and development for more new models, we are committed to growing and developing our R&D team. As of the end of second quarter 2021, our R&D headcount exceeded 3,000, a nearly 50% increase compared to the beginning of this year. And by the end of 2021, it will increase to more than 4,500. We also plan to increase the number of engineers dedicated to research and development of autonomous driving technology, spanning software, hardware, big data, and navigation maps for international markets. We estimate the total number of engineers working in our autonomous driving software, hardware, and relative supporting infrastructure teams to exceed 1,500 by the end of this year.
今年6月，中国纯电动汽车的渗透率首次超过了10%。我们认为智能电动汽车市场的拐点已经加速来临，因此我们会加速建设和扩充我们的基础设施能力，做长线的布局跟投资。截止到6月底，小鹏汽车在全国销售网点已经达到200家，覆盖72个城市。那么在这些销售网点中，直营店占110家。到今年年底，我们计划将原计划300家的销售店目标提高到超过350家。
In this June, the penetration rate of BEVs in China's market has surpassed 10% for the first time. I believe the Chinese smart EV market is navigating through an inflection point for the next level of growth, which arrived earlier than expected. To tap into this booming opportunities, we will accelerate the construction of our infrastructure facilities, underpinning our long-term strategic roadmap and investment. As of the end of June, XPeng's physical sales network consisted of 200 sales stores across 72 cities in China. Of these sales stores, 110 were directly operated by us. To keep pace with our rapid development delivery growth, we plan to lift our guidance of the number of sales stores from 300 to more than 350 stores by the end of 2021.
在充电设施网络布局方面，我们会继续加速扩张。截止到2021年6月30号，小鹏汽车品牌的超级充电站已经运营了231座，覆盖了城市65座。那么最近，小鹏汽车首批11个在高速公路上的超充站已经落成并上线运营，实现了京沪高速山东段、京港澳高速河南段的贯通。后续我们小鹏超充将陆续打通京沪、京广、京港澳等过条高速路线，进一步加强支持我们的用户长途出行的能力。我们计划在今年年底达到500座以上的小鹏品牌超充站，并进一步加速拓展非1、2线城市的超级充电布局。
We also continue to rapidly expand our supercharging network. As of June the 30th, the number of XPeng branded supercharging stations grew to 231, covering 65 cities. Recently, the first batch of 11 XPeng branded supercharging stations has been deployed on the Shandong section of the Beijing-Shanghai Expressway and the Henan section of the Beijing-Hong Kong-Macau Expressway. We'll move forward to deploy our supercharging capabilities across the entire Beijing-Shanghai, Beijing-Guangzhou, and Beijing-Hong Kong-Macau expressways, further enhancing our ability to serve our customers in long-distance driving. We plan to have more than 500 XPeng branded supercharging stations operational by the end of this year, accelerating the expansion of our charging network across lower-tier cities.
在海外市场的拓展方面，截止6月底，我们出口至挪威的 G3 已经近500辆。我们计划今年8月份开始向挪威出口 P7， 并且继续积极在挪威和更多欧洲国家市场的布局，不断完善我们在当地销售、交付跟服务体系。我们的目标是在2020年至2022年的3年里面，完成我们海外市场，包括左舵市场跟右舵市场的基础布局，包括硬件、软件、服务、组织、政策等相关的全面布局，并在2023年开始通过多款支持 XPeng 4.0 的全球化车型进入到加速的发展期。
In terms of our international expansion, as of this June the 30th, we had explored approximately 500 G3s to Norway. And in August, we plan to export P7 to the Norwegian market as well. We'll continue our efforts in Norway and other European markets to further strengthen our local operations through sales, delivery, and customer service enhancements. Our target is to prepare ourselves for the overseas markets in both left and right-hand drive countries within the 3 years' time of 2020 to 2022. And accelerate our penetration into international markets with our upcoming smart EV models equipped with XPilot 4.0 starting from 2023.
在生产制造方面，随着我们 G3i 和 P5 在肇庆工厂相继投产，肇庆工厂已经开始了 P7、G3i 和 P5 的3款车的并线生产。我们已经于8月份在肇庆工厂开始了每天2班的生产安排。随着产能的释放，在4季度，我们的单月交付量有信心会不断提高，并期望突破 1.5 万辆的月度峰值。当然，我相信供应链的挑战仍然是实现这个目标的最大的挑战。在肇庆市政府的支持下，我们于8月18号启动了肇庆工厂的2期的扩建项目，预计明年上半年内设计产能能够从现在的10万辆每一年提高到超过20万辆每一年。同时，广州工厂的建设现在进展顺利，预计明年1季度主体结构可以完工，在明年3季度可以正式开始量产。
Turning to our production, with our G3i and P5 commencing production, our Zhaoqing factory is now able to produce the G3i, P7, and P5 concurrently. And in August, we added a second production shift at the Zhaoqing factory. With the increasing production output, we expect our monthly delivery volume to potentially reach 15,000 in the fourth quarter. That said, supply chain challenges, particularly those pertaining to chip shortage, remain the biggest production hurdle we're facing. With the support of the Zhaojing municipal government, in August, we kicked off the Phase 2 expansion of our Zhaojing factory, which we expect to increase annual design production capacity at the site from 100,000 to 200,000 by the end of the first half of 2022. Construction for our Guangzhou factory remains on track, and we expect the main structure to be completed in the first quarter next year, and mass production to begin in the third quarter 2022.
最后，我们会在第三季度努力克服芯片短缺、电芯的结构性短缺、部分地区的疫情对我们的影响，以及 G3 切换到 G3i 在生产力的带来的挑战。我们预计2021年第三季度我们的总交付量为21500至22500辆，收入预计为人民币48亿至50亿。我期待在今年10月24日我们的第3届小鹏汽车智能日上，和大家分享我们在技术创新上的最新成果。
In summary, we'll continue to strive to overcome the various challenges before us stemming from chip shortage, cell structural shortage, COVID-19 resurgence in some parts of the world, and production transition from G3 to G3i. In the third quarter of 2021, we expect our smart EV deliveries to be between approximately 21,500 and 22,500 units, and our total revenue to be between approximately 4.8 billion and 5 billion RMB. I look forward to sharing with you our latest progress on technology innovations on our third XPeng Technology Day on October the 24th this year.
谢谢大家，下面由我们的财务 VP 丹尼斯为大家介绍我们第二季度财务状况。
Thank you, everyone. With that, I'll now turn the call over to our VP of Finance, Mr. Dennis Lu, to discuss our financial performance for the second quarter of 2021.
Thank you, Xiaopeng, and hello, everyone. Our outstanding performance in the second quarter continued to reflect XPeng's leadership in China's booming smart EV industry, where we continue to introduce innovative technology, differentiated products, and premium service. Fueled with strong delivery performance, our revenues in the second quarter grew 537% compared with the same period of 2020. We also witnessed a further improvement in our financials. In particular, our gross margin continued the upward trend and reached 11.9% in the second quarter. Now, I would like to walk you through our detailed financial results for the second quarter of 2021. I will reference RMB only in my discussion today, unless otherwise stated. Total revenues were RMB 3.8 billion for the second quarter of 2021, representing an increase of 537% from RMB 591 million for the same period of 2020, and an increase of 28% from RMB 2.95 billion for the first quarter of 2021. Revenues from vehicle sales were RMB 3.6 billion for the second quarter of 2021, representing an increase of 562% from RMB 541 million for the same period of 2020, and an increase of 28% from RMB 2.8 billion for the first quarter of 2021. The year-over-year increase was mainly due to higher vehicle delivery, especially for the P7. The quarter-over-quarter increase was also attributable to higher P7 sales as a result of seasonality, channel expansion, and increase in brand equity. Revenues from service and others were RMB 177 million for the second quarter of 2021, representing an increase of 256% from RMB 49.7 million for the same period of 2020, and an increase of 26% from RMB 141 million for the first quarter of 2021. The year-over-year and the quarter-over-quarter increase were mainly due to more income from service, parts, and accessory sales in line with higher accumulated vehicle sales. Gross margin was 11.9% for the second quarter of 2021, compared with a negative 2.7% for the same period a year ago, and 11.2% for the first quarter of 2021, respectively. Vehicle margin was 11% for the second quarter of 2021, compared with negative 5.6% for the same period of 2020, and 10.1% for the first quarter of 2021. The improvement was primarily attributable to better product mix and material cost reduction. Research and development expenses were RMB 864 million for the second quarter of 2021, representing an increase of 170% from RMB 390 million for the same period of 2020, and an increase of 61% from RMB 535 million for the first quarter of 2021. The year-over-year and quarter-over-quarter increase were mainly due to, one, the increase in employee compensation as a result of expanded research and development staff, and two, higher expenses related to the development of vehicles and related software technologies. Selling, general, and administrative expenses were RMB 1 billion for the second quarter of 2021, representing an increase of 116% from RMB 477 million for the same period of 2020, and an increase of 43% from RMB 721 million for the first quarter of 2021. The year-over-year and the quarter-over-quarter increase were mainly due to, one, higher marketing, promotional, and advertising expenses to support vehicle sales, and two, the expansion of sales network and associated personnel costs and commission for the franchise store sales. Loss from operation was RMB 1.4 billion for the second quarter of 2021, compared with RMB 779 million for the first quarter of for the same period of 2020, and RMB 904 million for the first quarter of 2021. Excluding share-based compensation expense, non-GAAP loss from operations was RMB 1.3 billion for the second quarter of 2021, compared with RMB 779 million for the same period of 2020, and RMB 814 million for the first quarter of 2021. Net loss was RMB 1.2 billion for the second quarter, compared with RMB 146 million for the same period a year ago, and RMB 787 million for the first quarter of 2021. Excluding share-based compensation expense and fair value change on derivative liabilities related to the redemption right of the preferred shares, the non-GAAP adjusted net loss was RMB 1.1 billion for the second quarter of 2021, compared with RMB 770 million for the same period of 2020, and RMB 696 million for the first quarter of 2021. Net loss attributable to ordinary shareholders of XPeng Inc. was RMB 1.2 billion for the second quarter, compared with RMB 1.1 billion for the same period of 2020, and compared with RMB 787 million for the first quarter of 2021. Excluding share-based compensation expense, the fair value change on derivative liabilities related to the redemption right of the preferred shares and accretion on the preferred shares to redemption value, the non-GAAP net loss attributable to ordinary shareholders of XPeng Inc. was RMB 1.1 billion for the second quarter of 2021, compared with RMB 769 million for the same period of 2020, and RMB 696 million for the first quarter of 2021. Basic and diluted net loss per ADS was RMB 1.5 yen for the second quarter of 2021. The non-GAAP basic and diluted net loss per ADS was 1.38 for the second quarter of 2021. Each ADS represents 2 Class A ordinary shares. Turning back to the balance sheet, as of June 30th, 2021, our company has cash and cash equivalent, restricted cash, short-term deposit, short-term investment, and long-term deposit in total of RMB 32.9 billion, which excludes the Hong Kong IPO proceeds of RMB 13 billion. compared with RMB 35.3 billion for the as of the December 31st, 2020. With that, now I would like to turn the call to Ma.
To be mindful of the length of our earnings call for our second quarter financial results, I would encourage listeners to refer to our earnings press release for further details. This concludes our prepared remarks. We will now open the call to the questions. Operator, please go ahead.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, if you would like to ask a question, please press star one on your telephone keypad. To ask a question, please press star one on your telephone keypad. And to withdraw your question, press the pound key. Your first question comes from Tim Chow with Morgan Stanley. Your line is open.
Thanks for taking my questions and congratulations on a great result. I've got two questions. The first question is about the component supply. I think the near-term chip shortage now is well anticipated. But should we concerned about the similar supply crisis into next year, especially XPeng will need to secure the key component supply for 4 models in total, with volume likely doubling. So I just want to know that how could XPeng cope with such challenge into next year? We had a company consider investing or forming strategic alliances with the parts makers like for the chip or battery to ensure we can get sufficient supply. My second question is about the demand of P5 because I think Mr. Ho already mentioned that the demand is pretty strong, but could you share more information about the progress in collecting the orders during his pre-sale? I understand we might not be able to share too much detail, but how should we think about that volume scale relatively to, for example, that of our flagship model P7? And would the component shortage hurt the volume ramp up of P5 into fourth quarter? 各位管理层好，就我2个简短的问题。第一个是想请问一下，就是我们怎么去看待这种关键零部件或者是芯片的短缺？那到明年的时候，如果还遇到这样一个状况的话，小鹏是要怎么样去确认，或者是能够确保我们有足够的零部件供应？那我们会考虑投资这些上游的关键零部件厂商吗？或是有其他的方式？那第二个问题是有关于这个 P5 的一个需求，那想了解一下，就是目前整个这个预售或者是订单的一个接单量。那如果不方便分享这个细节的话，是不是可以跟我们现在这个旗舰车款 P7 去做一个这个大致的比较？那零部件这个问题会不会影响到我们4季度 P5 的一个放量？谢谢。
关键零部件跟芯片的短缺，里面分2种啊，我认为这个第一种是可预期的，第二种是不可预期的啊。那么可预期的主要在芯片角度啊，不可预期的我认为主要是在疫情的角度。例如最近的南京疫情对于中国很多的汽车厂商上都会带来的挑战，因为疫情一旦封锁某一个区域，那么它会对这个区域内如果刚好有你的第一Tier 1或者 Tier 2会对你有比较大的挑战。可以先帮我翻译的。
So in regards to core components and chipset shortage, I think we have to look at it from 2 ways. The first way is there are some expected shortage that we can deal with and prepare for, and the other kind is the unexpected ones. Now, for the expected ones, I'm mainly talking about the chipset or chip shortage. For the unexpected ones, I'm mainly referring to pandemic resurgence. For example, lately we saw this emergency happening in Nanjing where we faced a serious lockdown. And if it so happened that one of your Tier 1 or Tier 2 suppliers is located in one of those lockdown cities, there's nothing you could do about it. And those will be considered as unexpected elements that affect our shortage and add to our challenge.
那么关于芯片等关键零部件的短缺，我们会采取一系列的政策，包括了我们会更提前去下更明确的订单啊，以及我们会采取跟芯片的厂商和我们的主要的 Tier 1联合去达成战略的合作协议，包括了我们可能也会用投资的手段，包括了我们也会和 这个政府一起来去做这个芯片的一个联合采购的一些体系。从我角度来看的话呢，这个芯片短缺是一个全行业的事情，但是对于小鹏这样的新造车势力，反而是从整体来看，我们能够去在这个中间能够获取到更好的可能性。因为现在绝大部分芯片厂商认为小鹏是最重要的会高增长的一个战略的合作伙伴，所以它将我们的这个优先级排在比较高的位置。第二点的话呢，这个因为当前我们的公司的规模这个交付量还不够大，所以我们实际上更能够比较灵活的去考虑我们在不同的车型之间如果有更多的 A、B 点的选择，以及我们如何在海外市场能够有更多的这个芯片的采购的可行性的一系列的方式。
So for the first kind of challenge, which is the core components or chip shortage, we can do several things to prepare for. For example, the first one is we can make orders way ahead of time so that we can better prepare for chip shortage. The second thing is we can work with some top-tier suppliers in terms of chipset production and development. We can work with them in several ways. First of all, we can sign collaboration deals. Also, we can invest in some of those core suppliers, and also we can work with local governments in terms of bulk purchasing or pre-ordering of the chipsets or chips that we need. Basically, chip shortage is a big challenge faced by the whole industry, but as a company, company equipped with leading technology of its kind, XPeng actually has a very, very favorable position to play in this value chain because a lot of the chip suppliers consider us as their VIPs thanks to our fast development and fast iteration of our models. And also, we are actually very flexible in a sense that we don't have large deliveries backlog yet. So that allows us to be really flexible in selecting different suppliers in order to fulfill our chip demand. We also can look to the overseas market for more chip supply.
那么关于 P5 的相关的情况，我只能跟 P7 做一个简单的对比。相比同一时间的 P7 ，P5 的需求的强烈度，我觉得有2个点的可以分享。第一个，需求强烈度明显比 P7 要提高，这是第一点。第二点，我们对 P5 的规划在这一次比 P7 要准确很多。我们大概现在在 P5 的预售大概有差不多2个月左右的时间，我们现在的每一周的订单量，我们可以看到越来越在我们的规划范围内，所以这会极大的有提高我们到时候在今年4季度开始交付的这种效率。
So in regards to your second question, which is about the market demand of P5, if you ask me to compare it with P7, I would say that actually we see a even stronger demand compared to P7 of the same developmental stage. And also, we are able to actually better plan ahead for the pre-ordering of P5. And right now, the pre-order has started since 2 months ago. And every month, we are seeing the demand come in more and more as expected. That allows us to actually deliver what we guarantee by 4Q this year.
关于 P5 在关键零部件上的挑战，我相信都会面对。但是因为 P5 我们在去年和今年初就已经下了相关的订单，所以我相信它的挑战相比现在的 P7 跟 G3 甚至要小一些。
So in order to fulfill the core components or core parts demands for P5, we actually have prepared for this since the beginning of this year. So that is why, by comparison, we actually face a smaller challenge compared to the fulfillment of the order for P7 and G3.
谢谢。
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing the insight. 非常感谢管理层，谢谢。
And your next question comes from Bin Wang with Credit Suisse. Your line's open.
谢谢领导，我有3个问题啊。第一个想问问看我们的第6个产品是什么？因为我看到我们竞争对手一个宣布明年有3个产品，一个宣布将来有10几个产品就想问问看我们的第6个产品会是什么样子。这第一个问题。第二个问题呢，就是想领导能不能量化一下这个2季度跟这个1季度毛利率提高好像是2.7个点吧。如果除去那个2020年的这个 暖机收入的话，这2.7个点怎么来细分的？同时呢，展望一下下半年的毛利率的走势。那第三个问题跟这个有关系的，就想问问看2季度的时候，这个软件的这个渗透率是多少？那么在下半年估计会到什么程度？对比一下1季度的渗透率，我们想算看软件的贡献。那我翻译一下哈。Okay, actually I got 3 questions. Number 1 is about the new products. And actually, I want to know the number 5 and number 6 products, given your competitors actually has been announced pretty aggressive new product plan. For example, one of them actually offer 3 products next year, and then the other one actually getting more than 10 products in the next few years. So basically detail about the number 5, number 6 products. And second question is about the margin, because it seems that if you excluding the software income in the 2020, actually the Q&Q in the second quarter actually increased around 2.7% according to my calculation. Can you break down the driver for this 2.7% gross margin increase? And meanwhile, what's your guidance for the second half of this year about the gross margin change? And last question is about it's linked to the second question is about the software attach rate, expected attach rate, take rate in the first quarter, second quarter, and the second half guidance. Thank you.
Hey, Bing, it's Brian. Let me just address your first question. Obviously, we can't detail the 5th or the 6th product at the moment, but what we can share with you is that we are intending to develop a new platform for the 5th and 6th product. That platform we aim to be probably the largest in terms of the quantity and addressable market. So it will be a platform that is targeted in the mid to high end, which that we're selling right now. At the same time, I think around the same time that we will be also rolling out a high-end product in the same year that will probably be above the current price range, increasing it to over 400,000 or even above. So that's another product that we aim to launch in the 2023 timeframe. So you can see that in addition to the G3, the P7, and P5, we will have a new platform that will have both the right-hand and left-hand driving capability targeted both domestic and international market. Will be a very large volume driver. At the same time, we'll be launching a product that will be actually higher than our current high-end, 400,000 and above. So let me turn to Dennis to talk about the margins.
Yes, Bing, you're right. If we take out the software margin impact, we had about 2.3 percentage point margin improvement quarter over quarter. Among that, around 1.1 to 1.2 was driven by better product mix. In the second quarter, we had more P7 in our total sales. In the first quarter, our P7 accounted for about 60% of the total sales, but in the second quarter, the P7 increased to about 66%. So we had the mix improvement. The other big part is the material cost reduction. As we mentioned in the previous earnings call, we have reached the battery cost negotiations starting from the first quarter. But in the first quarter, we also have some inventory which we purchased in quarter 4 last year. So the cost reduction impact for the first quarter was not 100%, but in the second quarter, we basically have the 100% usage for the lower battery cost. So that accounted for about 1.1 to 1.2 percentage points in terms of margin contribution as well. So this is a big part of the margin improvement by the causal factors.
Yeah, being Charles here to address your third question regarding the software attach rate. In Q2, our software attach rate increased from around 20% last quarter to around 25% this quarter. And we believe the increase in software attach rate was mainly driven by the high utilization rate and also the overwhelmingly positive feedback from our customers. For example, in June, our monthly the NGP utilization rate exceeded 65%, and also the NGP mileage penetration rate in June also exceeded 60%. And looking forward, I think it's starting from Q4, and we will start to recognize the revenue from the XPEV 3.0 from our P5.
Thank you.
How about guidance? Second half guidance. Thank you.
And your next question comes from Nick Lai with JP Morgan. Your line's open.
Yeah, hi, thanks. It's Nick from JP Morgan. Thank you for taking my question. Two simple questions. First is related to financial, and second is related to policy guideline. On the financial, you mentioned earlier, as of June, we have roughly nearly 33 billion cash on balance sheet. And can you remind us what our strategy using that level of cash? And you mentioned earlier that we are launching 2-3 new models per year from 23 onward, and also Brian just mentioned we are going to launch a new production platform, and also sales marketing is going to increase in Q2. So aside from very strong top line, and can you help us understand how should we think about the profitability or margin in light of a lot of expansion or investment going forward at both cost level and OPEX level? That's the first question. And the second question is the Chinese government MIT announced recently a policy guideline regarding data control, data security in autonomous driving business. And how should we interpret that, and what does that mean to our business operationally and financially? 我很快翻译一下我的问题。好了，谢谢管理层。第一个问题就是我们在上半年有带300多亿人民币的 cash on balance sheet。那但是今天就是在我们的资本，可以聊聊我们的资本开支，在这个新产品、新平台要这个 launch 的同时，我们怎么去看这个毛利或是 OP margin 的问题？因为刚刚也提到说sales marketing spend 在第二季度比较高，因为这个推展 network 的关系。那这是第一个问题。第二个问题就是有关工信部前一阵提到这个资讯 data 管理在自动驾驶指导意见吧。那这个事情对我们的营运成本或是做查核成本会不会有什么样的 implication？ 就这两个简单的问题，谢谢。
Thank you. This is Brian. Let me just address your first question regarding our cash reserve and then the future use of those cash. Including the Hong Kong IPO raise, our cash balance actually exceeds 4.6 billion RMB at the moment. As we stated in our Hong Kong IPO prospectus, we actually intend to use the proceeds mostly for R&D as well as sales marketing expansion. What I can say at this moment is that we are seeing a tremendous opportunity in China. The acceleration of the market is actually faster than what we expected in the beginning of the year. And I think as the leading company in this segment, we want to maintain our leadership by further invest into R&D, infrastructure, sales marketing, brand building, and other sort of related efforts. So you can see that we will increase the investment pace of our business in all these areas. For example, in the area of R&D, we think this year we will further accelerate the use of R&D funding. We expect the R&D expenses for the whole year will approach about 4 billion RMB. So that will be an increase from the earlier year, early in the year. Also in the sales and marketing, I think given that expected launching of our new models in third and fourth quarter, will be also increase the spending on market, sales and marketing infrastructure build out, brand as well as other areas and charge and facilities, etc. We intend to increase the delivery target for our business. So as Xiaopeng mentioned in the script earlier, in the fourth quarter, we aim to achieve on a monthly delivery peak number of above 15,000 vehicles per month. So that's actually is the acceleration of current pace of delivery that we're seeing. And based on what we see today in the supply chain and the constraints, we are confident we can hit that level in the fourth quarter. So let me turn on to Dennis. Turn on to Xiaopeng to talk about the data and the regulatory issue that you mentioned.
好，谢谢，我是小鹏啊。这个工信部发布了工业跟信息化部关于加强智能网联汽车生产企业及产品准入管理的意见呢。从我们的角度来看，实际上这次对于整个行业，特别对于小鹏是一个非常好的事情啊。这个首先我想说的是，今天小鹏的模式已经是 我们从我们的规范来看是符合政策的规定。那么我们的安全数据合规不仅在国内，我们同时也在这个去看欧洲的和全球的这样的一个标准。那么同时我们特别想说的是，要想把智能系统做到符合规范，我们认为它是一个不同。在过去的时间里面，很多人会表现出来只是将不同的某几块板做得特别好，但是最难的，比如说自动系统是将其他大家看不到的板，例如安全、例如可管理这些板都能够做好。那么这个是需要全站自研的能力才可以做到的，而这本身就是小鹏一直想去做的事情，一直和在做的事情。那么关于规范软件的 OTA 等等这些保障产品的一致性，也更有利于行业的长期发展。所以我举例，例如从智能驾驶安全角度，我们是第一家这个做智能辅助驾驶考试的车企，也是第一个使用激光雷达的车企。所以我们认为政策跟法律的完善对于高等级智能化的普及反而是好事，对于做全站自研的整车厂是非常的好事，有利于整体更好的量产以及更好的规范。谢谢。
So in regards to your second question, in regards to your second question regarding data security, we are actually very, very happy to see this new regulation coming out from the Chinese government, because it's going to be very, very beneficial, not just for the whole industry, but especially for XPeng, because XPeng has been always very stringent on its data protection and also on its safety. Safeguarding. Since our inception, we've been investing a lot in the R&D of the data security and also safety safeguarding. We not only fulfill the requirements and regulation in China, but also in Europe and across the world as well. And in terms of the whole industry's development in this regard, we believe that a lot of the OEMs and other competitors out there are focusing on building their advantage on different modules, but really the challenge lies in the combination of different modules and also how to coordinate different modules to make sure that the whole set of your intelligence or driver assistance system fulfill all of those safety requirements and data security protection requirements. The most challenging part actually comes in the safety safeguarding and also the manageable modules that really requires a full stack in-house R&D capabilities, which XPeng always possessed. And also, in terms of the software OTA, which also is an important matrix in regards to your data protection and also safety safeguarding, we are very, very cutting edge in this development as well. For example, we are the first OEM or EV OEM in the industry that actually conduct a driver proficiency test before allowing them to use our driver assistance system. We are also the first company of its kind that adopted this LiDAR technology on top of our visual technology to make sure that we protect the driver's safety as our top priority. So definitely we see this new regulation as a beneficial news for not just the whole industry, but especially for OEMs such as us that actually possess the in-house full stack R&D capability. Thank you.
All right, and your next question comes from Ming Lee with Bank of America Securities. Your line's open.
Thank you, Megan team. So I have two questions. The first question is regarding your international expansion plan. I think yesterday we just saw news that you also start to ship P7 to Norway. So in the future, will you continue to adapt the wholesale business model, or you will start to open your own brand stores and through the retail model? Besides that, you also mentioned that starting from 2023, all of your models will be able to using the international standard and to ship to worldwide. So in your view, what's the most difficult and the challenges when you need to localize your component, and what kind of components or software is the most difficult to localize? So that's my first question. And the second question actually just follow the previous the regulation issue. So actually, I think it's a good thing to see a strict regulation, and the new regulation actually give a guidance for all the auto company to comply with. However, I think that in the near term, is it possible that OTA become more difficult, or the when your software and hardware are able to provide level 4 autonomous driving functions, but the regulation probably only allow you to provide level 3 functions. In this case, how do you see the possibility on this, and will this narrow down XPeng's advantage？ 所以我的第一个问题还是关于就是往海外市场的话，我们以后会用批发还是零售的这个模式？那第二个问题还是关于这个 OTA 还有监管趋严，会不会让我们原有领先市场同业的这个优势呢？这个时间窗口就是被这个比较严格的法规所弭平啊。谢谢管理层。
And your next question comes from Edison.
Sorry, let me respond to the question. So because we were actually on mute. So on the first question, you're talking about the international strategy for sales marketing. Currently, we actually are aiming to try both in terms of working with distributors locally as well as opening our direct owned stores. We're actually going to try a hybrid model in Europe. For example, in Norway, we're working with the leading distributor right now, but also we have plans to open up our own stores in large cities or capital cities in the European countries that we target. So we're experimenting a mixed model. Obviously, that's something that we will need to decide what is the best model for us. But I think currently it's a hybrid model. Your second question is on the OTA and also the data security. Right. So your second question, I think is the same question that was asked before, right? The question about the new regulation, how that impacts our ability to innovate as well as stay ahead. I think as Xiaopeng mentioned in the answer earlier, it is obviously we're welcoming the regulatory sort of framework, and I think as a leading company in this, we will benefit from a higher standard, higher bar for such practice. So I think for us, we don't see this actually will slow down our innovation, nor will it actually narrow the gap between us and the followers. We actually think the increased regulatory tension on this area will actually further strengthen the top players and create more barriers for the followers to come. So that's our view.
Got it. Thank you, Brian.
All right, and your next question comes from Edison Yu with Deutsche Bank. Your line's open.
Thank you for taking our questions. I have two. First one, it seems you're making a bigger push into the premium end going forward. I'm just curious if you could share how you will kind of go about this differently than the sort of existing models or the more mass market models. Will you be kind of implementing better service, or will there be some sort of brand differentiation with this kind of premium offering? And second question is just about the XPilot 3.5 pricing. I think in the past you've talked about as the feature set grows, the price should go up. So wondering if you could provide any details there.
我简单翻译一下，就是第一个问题是，看来你们未来想就进入高端市场，就是有什么，就未来有什么新的做法或者新的服务会differentiate 跟你现在的车。第二个问题是关于 XPilot 3.5的价格，请问可以分享一下，现在有什么看法？谢谢。
So to answer your second question first is, we actually intend to have a higher pricing for XPilot 3.5. It should be priced at a premium to the current XPilot 3.0. Obviously, the XPilot 3.0 will still be available to vehicles with the hardware. So in the foreseeable models, we will actually have the current pricing maintained for the XPilot 3.0 and slightly premium price for XPilot 3.5 to reflect additional features.
谢谢啊。关于您的第一个问题，我们已经通过 P7 已经证明我们在接近30万的这样的一个市场，我们已经在上个月甚至我们超过了燃油汽车奥迪 A4 在中国的当月的销量。在未来的时间我们会突破这一个30万的，一直从30到40万，甚至有的高峰的数字我们会到50万这样的一个价格区间。我们相信在这个体系里面，我们不是通过一个更高端的服务去做到的，我们会建立一个标准的统一化的服务，它会相比来说它是通过数据去驱动的，它会做得更好。我们相信还是主要是在差异化上面。那么这些差异化我们今天正在做研发，我相信在23、25年会看到很典型的差异化。我们期望是这个典型的差异化来体现我们的能力。那么通过这个差异再形成我们下一个壁垒，因为这涉及到我们产品的一些思考逻辑，所以在这里面我想等在那个之前的1年我再跟大家分享。谢谢。
Now, in response to your first question, I think P7 has already proven our capability of entering the premium market, especially the one priced at about 300,000 RMB. Actually, last month, our delivery of P7 actually surpassed that of Audi A4. So that says a lot about our capability of entering the premium market. In the future, we target the even higher price range at about 400,000 to 500,000 even. So that's by entering those premium markets, we plan to actually offer standardized data-driven and technology-driven kind of differentiation that set us apart from our competitors, not by offering other kinds of service. In the long run, we expect to see actually a new development coming out from our R&D that actually allow us to really be different from other market offering by 2023 to 2025. And by that time, you will actually see what I'm talking about. And by that time, you will actually see that we will have something that actually showcase our core R&D capabilities and actually allow us to build a even stronger competitive edge or competitive moat against other competitors in the market. And because this actually involves some confidential information about our key product development logic in behind, allow me to keep it confidential at the moment. And when the time allows, time permitting, I will give you and share with you more information in this regard. Thank you.
我可以举一个例子，就是说，例如飞行汽车，我们会通过可以飞行的、也可以开的汽车进入到50万到100万这个区间，这也是我们的一个在高端市场上的一个布局。
And I can actually give you one example as some of the flying cars that we are developing in pipeline that we are R&Ding. At the moment, we plan to actually target an even more premium market priced at about 500,000 to 1 million RMB. And so that would be actually one of our flagship products by that time as we enter the premium market.
Thank you.
And your next question comes from Paul Gong with UBS. Your line's open.
Yeah, hi. Thanks for taking my question. My first question is regarding your distribution network. I think you mentioned you are going to expand your number of stores from 200 to 350 by end of this year. I double check this number, and also when you are expanding, are you mainly opening your own direct operating stores, or are you going to more leverage with the third-party distributors or the dealers? And also, related question on this is, in terms of challenge, do you think there is currently more limitation from the coverage of the network or the efficiency of the network? Where do you foresee the further improvement? My second question is regarding the number of models. It seems that you are going to accelerate the launch of new models from 2023, but I think there is a XPeng shares many of the similarities versus Tesla, but Tesla has right now only 4 models despite of a longer track record and much higher volume. So when you are planning this number of models, what is your main considerations to put so many models, and would this give more challenges to your distribution network, given many of the stores, they do not necessarily have that many of the positions to have several cars. 我简单翻译一下啊，就第一个是关于那个分销网络的，就我刚才如果没听错的话，你们是将由现在的200家店，其中110家直营店扩展到今年年底是350家店就我想问的话就是这个扩张的话是主要是我们自己开新店呢，还是依靠第三方的那经销商来开新店那然后就说在当前的一个店的我们感觉是更多的是在那个店的覆盖面上边，这还有提升的空间呢，还是在单店的效率上边的那提升空间大一点？这是第一个问题第二个问题来说的话是那个车型的数目从2023年的话每年2到3款就感觉上这个策略就是跟特斯拉是非常的不一样，就是说小鹏在跟特斯拉有很多相似之处，但是在这一点的话选择好像是跟特斯拉是很不一样的那能不能请管理层分享一下你们的那个对于这个车型数目的一个考虑以及就是说对于我们这个分销渠道的一个压力，因为有很多店的话看起来好像面积并不是能够容纳很多个车停在那里，我们是怎么考虑这个问题的？谢谢。
好的，我是小鹏第一个问题是这个在从200家到350家这个销售的店的情况下，我们会在自己建设跟第三方的这个授权里面我们都会有，但是自己建设的比例会相比当前要提高。先帮我翻译。
So in response to your first question, definitely by the end of the year, we plan to open 350 distributor stores, and we will have both directly operated and self-operated and also partnership stores. And the ratio of our directly run stores will increase.
那么在店的覆盖跟单店的转换率的情况下，我们在去年的从同比现在单店的转换率相比去年是有非常大的提高即使在单车型上来看所以这个是我们现在是非常有信心的。所以我们在今年我们的销售店普遍性的大面积的开始盈利。那么在店的覆盖面的层面来看，我们更认为是当一个城市拥有了超级充电的设施以及拥有了我们的销售服务网络之后，我们大概在数个月之后，我们的销售规模会迅速提高。我们现在看到这样的趋势，所以我们在店的覆盖面的情况也会大幅度的提高，这是我们今年下半年开始做的事情。谢谢。
And also, since several months ago, we already saw a great improvement on the single store's profitability. Actually, since last year, we already saw that happening across different models that we actually launch and sell. And so across the board, we see a lot of our stores making profits. And so that is why when we look at the deployment of our new stores, we will look at, first of all, the infrastructure of that particular city, meaning that whether or not we have the supercharging support in that particular city, and also how developed the sales network is that support that particular city. And so actually with those two core components of the infrastructure and all of those network, we see great improvement in their sales performance in a few months' time. And so that is what we are going to actually heavily invest in for the second half of the year to actually further expand our distribution network.
关于您的第二个问题，我主要回答2点。第一个，小鹏会继续坚持我们的精品路线，也就是说我们集中投入做最好的精品。那么精品成功的概念是在这一个车型的领域里面做到这个市场的前2名，我们认为算是成功的精品，所以我们会坚持会把这个事情做好。小鹏的 P7 例如现在已经是市场上所有的 B 级的电动的轿车的已经是到了第2名这样一个情况。那么 G3是第1和第2之间。那么在未来的时间里面，随着小鹏车型数量的提高，我相信我们的销售店会有一定的变化。我们会继续保有我们现在在商场里面的以旗舰店、以展示店为主的，但是我们可能在这些店里面只放少数有 符合当地客户主流需要的车型。那么在其他我们可能会在更大的这个综合店里面会去展示全部的车型。谢谢。
Now, in response to your second question, I would like to talk about two things. The first thing is XPeng will still continue to focus on high quality products, which means that all of the models that we are in, we expect them to achieve the number 1 or number 2 of its market share of its kind. For example, P7 has already achieved number 2 in terms of sales in Class B sedan, and G3 is ranked number 1 or number 2 in the market of its kind. In the future, going forward, when we have more models in our pipeline, and when we launch more models, we are going to adopt a different store distribution or showcase strategy. So we are going to actually look at the local market and local cities and analyze the market demands in selecting which models to showcase in the showroom and in the store. And in some of our flagship stores where we have more space, we will actually be able to showcase the whole selection of our models. Thank you.
Thank you once again for joining us today. If you have further questions, please feel free to contact XPeng's Investor Relations through the contact information provided on our website or the TPG Investor Relations. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Bye.
This concludes conference call. You may now disconnect your line. Thank you.